Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you all here. Hopefully everyone's still awake after a busy morning on the other side. I'm Dan Sagar, and today we're going to talk about why most businesses plateau and how to break through. Just out of interest, who is a business owner here in the room today? Most people? Cool. Any employees in the room that I missed there? No, so we're all business owners. Okay. Hopefully you're in the right room. It's not too late to leave. When I was asked to do this talk last year, the thing that was kind of in the initial email, if you like, was the lean growth system, which is a system I use to help businesses to grow. But really, it's all about this plateau. And I was looking for an image when I was making these slides, and I felt this was quite an apt one because, of course, it is a plateau, but this could also represent a line graph. You know, you could look at your business's revenue, your profits, whether that's gross or net. But actually, this is what happens a lot of the time. You might start your business because you're great at what you do, you love what you do. Can you see that all right, if I'm? Yeah. You love what you do, but actually you get to a point with your growth in your business, could even be number of employees, and actually you can't get past this point, and you find yourself repeating the same thing year after year. So what I see a lot with clients I start working with, they might have started their business 10 years ago, but actually the last 5 or 7 years have been exactly the same. They grew, they got to that point, their life might be okay. I put a little blocker on the end there, and that's kind of where a lot of people get to, and that's what I want to talk about today in just kind of short 20 minutes. And the reason this normally happens is all about constraints. So we all have at least one. If we're running a business, normally our business will grow until it reaches a constraint, and you probably have at least one right now. That's probably why you're here, talking and listening to something like this. So what I just want to talk about for the first part of this is what exactly is a constraint. Okay, essentially it is the single biggest thing that's limiting your business results right now. So there are a few constraints which I'm going to talk through, but normally it will be one thing which is significantly impacting you more than any of the others. And there's only 6. But this is really, really important, because until you identify what that constraint is and fix it and resolve it, you can't then move to the next point. And you might push a little bit past it, but you'll probably end up coming back to the same point because you haven't actually fixed the real issue that's affecting you right now. And that's what we're going to get into. And like it says here, a constraint is whatever is stopping the business growing to the next level. So I'm very briefly going to go through the 6 constraints here. And as I'm talking about each of them, ideally you'll relate to one of them, and by the end of the 6th, hopefully you'll think, okay, that one is for me. And like I said, there might be 2 or 3 perhaps actually that you can relate to, but just try and think as I am moving through, which one is actually having the biggest impact on you right now. Can you guys see over there? There's not loads on the slides, but you can see, yeah? Cool. Cool, so I'm going to have to go through these quite quick. We've only got a few minutes, but hopefully this will give you a bit of an idea. So the first one, capacity. This is quite an easy one if we look at this. So essentially the business cannot deliver more because it is at capacity. This could be one of a few different things. So it could be your people. If you've got a team, hands up if you've got a team in your business, if it's not just you. Yeah, a few of you, not most of you, it is just you. So actually people might just be you. But actually, are you working to the maximum that you can? Is that the current constraint? You don't have any more hours in the week. Is it time? And that links basically to it. It could be space. So if you need a space to do your thing, to deliver your thing, you could be constrained by the space that you're in. So if you deliver classes or workshops, actually, we could fit more people in here, but actually that might not be the case for you. And essentially that bandwidth is completely maxed out. A couple of questions to ask yourself if you're in this position and if you are capacity constrained. Are you turning customers away? Not always a bad thing if you are, by the way. So there's definitely a lot to be said about turning away the wrong customers, but if you are repeatedly finding yourself turning customers away, that could be the sign that this capacity is an issue for you. Another question is, if I gave you 50% more customers than you currently have tomorrow, could you handle it? And again, if the answer is no, either through fulfillment, delivery, or just through onboarding, again, you are potentially capacity constrained as well. I'm sure a lot of us would love 50% more customers tomorrow, but actually if your business couldn't handle it, there's a sign that you are constrained in that way. So for all of these constraints, I've normally got kind of one recommendation to fix it, but for this one, we do have 4. So increasing the output per unit. So again, if you have a team, this is more relevant. And it's not initially about adding more team members, but how can you get the same people producing more, of course, safely? And AI, this is not a talk about AI, but a lot of people are obviously leveraging AI to to do exactly this, getting more out of your team. Is anyone steering away from AI, just out of interest? Don't be embarrassed. No? Okay, cool. I've been doing talks like this for about over 2 years now, and we're slowly getting to the point where everyone in the room has used at least ChatGPT, so it's good to see. The second fix, remove low-value work. So I just mentioned turning away the wrong customers isn't a bad idea. Actually, can we replace low-value work with higher-value work? Or what are the skilled people doing in your team that they shouldn't be? Again, can it be automated potentially? Our third potential fix is change the delivery model. If you're delivering a lot in person, can you switch some of that to remote? Again, it won't work for everyone, but something to consider. And then our fourth potential fix is to add capacity intentionally. So that might be hiring more team members, taking on a bigger space, doing that kind of thing. But I would only recommend this after you've already looked at the other three. Getting the most out of what you've got should actually absolutely be the main goal before you look to add more people into the business. So I said we're moving quite quick. That is our first one, capacity, ticked off. Our second one is a market constraint. Now, if you are constrained by the market, I'll say this up front, this would be very unusual. There's potentially no one in here or just one or two people in here that this would apply to, but it's still important to say it. And that is where there isn't enough consistent qualified demand. So some questions to help with this. Do you struggle to get enough customers? And if you had the cash, could you spend more on marketing? And a very quick example here in terms of market constraint is, I know of a business up in the Midlands and they do TPs for weddings. They got to a point where within their radius of 80 or 100 miles, there was no more people basically in that area that wanted TPs for their weddings in their radius. They didn't want to go and expand to the north or the south. They were happy in the Midlands and they were putting money into ads, but actually they were only getting so many leads and so many customers because there was a cap on actually what the market wanted, and only so many people wanted TPs in their area. So that was when they were putting cash into marketing and actually it reached a real ceiling. And so those guys were market constrained. So that's kind of what I mean by this. That's what I just said there. So how to fix it? Change the market, okay? You could expand your geography if something like that applies to you. Widen your niche, so you could go from doing just TPs to TPs and bars, TPs and catering, food and drink, that kind of stuff. It's keeping within something similar and maybe selling more to the same customers and adding in those adjacent services. So very unusual if that would apply to you, but it is one of our 6 constraints today. Tick. Our third one is cash. This is more common than some of the others. So perhaps the business lacks the right cash at the right time to fund the growth, even if it is profitable on paper. So some questions here. How often does cash timing affect your decisions and what you decide to do in your business? And are you avoiding opportunities due to cash? I've got a client going through this right now. He's going quite a lot this year, and a lot of his business involves buying stock. And he's getting more customers in the door and they all need stock, which he has to front load, and then he supplies it to them at a later time once he's had it delivered. And then, of course, there's payment terms for his clients, and he's in the middle of that chain. So some of you selling physical products, you may have the similar issues. And now what he's looking to do is get some sensible finance on board so he can fund this stock up front and pay it back later to help. There's lots of things you can do. That's a very quick example, but fixing your cash flow mechanics and everything around it is ultimately the way to do that. So pricing is a great way. Can you increase your prices? If you can, that will instantly help with cash flow, obviously. A lot of people, by the way, haven't put their prices up in years. Again, I was chatting to a business last year and he hadn't put his prices up since before COVID, which is obviously just insane. Because if you're not doing it at least with inflation every year, of course, you're making even less money. So just to raise a flag at that point. Payment terms, can you improve the payment terms either of you with your customers or with your suppliers? So you can definitely do a bit of both there. Deposits, can you take deposits? Think non-traditionally, can you take deposits in your space? Having a better stock strategy, more disciplines on your margins linked to pricing, of course, and not just a case of selling more and more and more, because obviously if you do and you are cash constrained, you're only going to exacerbate that problem. Just by selling more won't fix this on its own. And that's cash. We are flying through these. I'll be around for questions at the end, by the way, if anyone's got any. Skills is our next one, number 4. So the business doesn't yet have the commercial, sales, leadership, or technical skills needed for the next level. And this happens often in businesses where that founder has taken the business from doing something they love, doing something they enjoy, perhaps started to hire a team and actually they don't have then the skills to take that business even further? Are you missing marketing opportunities because you're not a marketing expert, you're a great tradesperson or great at HR or whatever it is? And how much revenue are you missing out on monthly? It's probably scary if you actually went and thought about this. So how to fix it? Develop or acquire the specific skill gap holding the growth back. Go and educate yourself, do some personal development, perhaps go on courses or bring the team members in to help you. Use outsource support, a lot of that available at the moment. It could be around sales skills, sales and marketing skills, leadership, or just general commercial thinking. Actually, all this money's flying around you, but you don't have the skills yet to deal with it. Skills. Our fifth one here, systems, which is my favourite. This is where work relies on people, memory and effort instead of repeatable and scalable processes. So definitely in the early stages of business and sometimes a long time after, this is absolutely true. And if you're doing a lot of work, a lot of hours every week on manual tasks, again, this is where the AI starts to kick in a little bit again. Manual, repeatable admin tasks, that is potentially where you've got a systems constraint. And a good way to get around this is think, if you could wave a magic wand in your business, sadly there isn't one, but if you could, what would you automate or what would you try and remove? And doing loads of this at the moment, helping people get their time back. So how to fix it? Document, simplify and automate repeatable work so that the business runs consistently without constant supervision. That first word there, documents, again, so many businesses, even if they were to step away for a week and just get someone part-time to help them, that would be so difficult to do because even the most basic processes aren't written down, even on a document or like a Google Doc or a Word doc. So easy to do now with tools like Scribe. You can document your processes actually so you can start then to get some help, because just bringing someone in, if everything's in your head, it's almost impossible to do that. And a quick sidebar and a good way to do that is what I do with my clients. I love to get like a huge roll of white paper and we use Post-it notes. So you can use this for any part of your prospect or customer journey. You know, inquiry comes in here, could be website, phone call, email. What happens next? Who responds when, how quickly, by what source? You move it all the way through and we come up with this huge long flowchart diagram of the whole customer journey. And then we start to think, okay, cool. What can we automate actually? Can a machine, an AI, a piece of software do that for you? And we're not going to try and automate the whole thing here. The way I like to look at this is get the robots or the automations to do the tedious bits so that then you, the business owner or your staff can then actually go and spend more time being more human, building those relationships, spending more time with your customers, and actually you're not stuck doing admin. And this is a really good, really simple way. Anyone can walk out of here now and do that. Get some Post-it notes and just starting to think about this. And people who are visual, this is a great way to do that. So that's systems, that's number 5 ticked off. And our final constraint, God forbid, is it you? Okay, you, the business owner, if that's what you are. The business owner's clarity, decisions, behavior, or availability is the bottleneck in the business. And I see this far too often. And a lot of the time it's hard to actually realize this is the case. Questions to ask yourself, and this may not be the most intuitive questions, but I promise you this is the best way to start. What does success like for you? A lot of people started their business however many years ago, so it might be quite recent for some of you, but actually a good question is, why are you still in your business? You might have great reasons for starting it, but actually why are you still in your business? Why are you still doing it? Those same reasons may apply, they may have changed. But actually having a really clear view or vision on what success likes for you in that business will help you start to think about this and make you a plan. And if you can't talk me through your plan and your goals for 2026, disregard everything else I've said and start with this. If you don't even know what you're trying to achieve this year, the rest of it is a waste of time. This is the best place to start. And I mentioned by looking at your biggest constraint, if you don't have this, then this is a clue that this is currently your biggest constraint, and then you can think about the other stuff. Because if you don't know where you're going, you've got no chance. So how to fix it? Create that clarity for yourself, define success, set those priorities, step out of the day-to-day noise and truly lead the business, even if it is just you. And that is our 6 constraints. So a quick recap. We've got capacity. Are you capacity constrained? Could you not take on 50% more customers tomorrow? We've got our market. So actually, are you saturating the area that you can service? Are you cash constrained? Always worried about cash flow? Skills constrained. You or your team members or your staff don't have the skills necessary to move you forward. Have you got a systems constraint where nothing is documented, no processes are written down? Or is it actually you and you don't have that clarity on where you're heading? So which is your number one? Is anyone really struggling to think what their number one might be, or has everyone got at least a bit of an idea? Yeah.
I know it's me.
You know it's you. It's not a problem, right, if you know that. You can start to do something about it. I won't go into that now. A lot of businesses that I speak to, they're working really hard on the wrong constraint, and there is a solution for this. You can remove your biggest constraint. You can move to the next stage, and it is entirely possible. And the lean growth system, which is what I was initially asked to talk about today, is essentially what I'm taking clients through right now. And this is absolutely achievable by yourself. This is not a big pitch from me, don't worry. But will fly through this little process here in terms of a sensible way to look at things if you are intending to grow your business this year and next. The 9 stages here we go through. It's my job to take people through this when I'm working one-to-one, to bring things forward sometimes, push stuff back, add and remove things. But essentially this is what we do. And I've got 9 slides like this. I'm not going to read every word on every slide. I can send the slides if anyone wants them. But right in the beginning, it's like we just talked about, having a real picture of what your ideal life looks like and what your business needs to do to support it. Actually looking at what you want to take home personally and then translate that onto your business. What does your business need to deliver so that you can have that life that you want? Looking at average and lifetime customer values so that you can make smarter decisions, and monthly management accounts. Wow, oh wow. So many business owners, they might be turning over hundreds of thousands of pounds and they don't have a clue how much money they made last year, never mind last month. I worked with a client, well, currently I'm working with a client, and they got their year-end accounts 3 months after the end of the year, and the accountant told them they made a loss, and it was a shock to them. They had no idea. So if that's you, it's not too late. You can do something about it. But that is what is absolutely the goal in part 1. But part 2, we're doing some basic things. It's your Google business profile, your LinkedIn. These things have so much value even now. Ensure every lead, customer and lead call is answered quickly, professionally. People answering the phone is a really good start if that's not happening already. Looking at your pricing and then starting to track in and measure. I'm really big on numbers in business, and I know it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but having the right dashboard so you can see exactly what's happening in your business is so important, and part 3 is all about getting that working. We do all that before we then start looking at the marketing. So I haven't mentioned marketing until this point because there's probably a lot you're already doing which just needs tweaking, adjusting, fixing or sorting out. Really important then we can look at the marketing. Boost trust and social proof. I think this is going to be massive now in the age of AI. Anyone can become an expert on anything, or it might appear so, very quickly with the right AI tool. So I think trust now is going to be absolutely essential for every business, and a great way to get trust or show trust is through reviews. So of course we look at that. We then look at your processes again, and we get really into that customer journey that I talked about. Boosting retention and referrals. There's probably so much cash sat in your existing customer list right now, and a lot of people, again, aren't making the most of that. A lot of your customers probably love you and will happily recommend you, but they aren't doing because you just literally haven't asked them. If you go away and ask 10 of your customers to recommend you today, there's probably, probably over a 90% chance you could get a bit of business out of that, literally this afternoon. Upsells and cross-sells. This is a huge thing again. Very quickly, you could print off from Xero or QuickBooks all of the invoices you've done in the last 12 months. Who are your top 10 biggest spenders? Okay, put them to one side. Everybody else, can we sell them something else? Can we upsell them, cross-sell them to something else? And again, there's always money sat in people's database when we go and do this exercise. We then start to ramp things up. In part 7, we keep a steady flow of new customers with rhythmic acquisition systems. Rhythmic acquisition is the key here. A lot of people having peaks and troughs with inquiries and sales. This is where we really nail it out so you don't have those high peaks and high troughs. Part 8, it's then all about doubling down on what's the most profitable, confidently investing in growth. And then in part 9, if you want to, some people are building a business to sell, some people are building a business just to get a nice lifestyle. Whatever it is, the point in part 9 is to turn your business into a sellable asset, whether you want to sell it or not. And just by going through that, the motion of doing that will help make everything in your business better. So that is the lean growth system. Again, take a picture of that or come and ask me afterwards. I can share all this with you. Last 2 minutes. What I'm doing day to day is I'm working one-to-one with a lot of business owners going through exactly this stuff. I also run a board in Winchester which meets monthly to talk about business challenges, business opportunities, and it's a group of a dozen business owners. We come together every month and we talk about these things. If that sounds interesting, obviously come and have a chat with me afterwards. I've got a couple of images here from the group up in Winchester, and I do a lot of talks like this as well. So I'll leave that there. If that sounds interesting to any of you, feel free to pop 30 minutes in my diary. It won't be a big sales pitch, but if you've thought about these constraints today and you're struggling to identify with one of them or with any of them, feel free to put 30 minutes in my diary and we can go back through those, not at 2,000 miles an hour like I just did, and actually help you work through that. And if it actually helps you get a bit of clarity in terms of what to do next and where to move forward, I'm more than happy to do that for anyone here. And again, it's not a big pitch. Or if anyone wants to ask me any questions, that's my direct WhatsApp straight through to me. I'd welcome any questions through there. Big fan of WhatsApp. So it's 10 past. I'll leave this there. If anyone's got any quick questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. James.
What's your current tech stack in terms of AI, different things used for automation? What are you using?
High level is my main CRM, and Notion I'm a huge fan of. So all my clients have a dashboard in Notion. Slack I use a little bit, but not a lot. That would be my main 2 or 3. Yeah.
Your AI weapon of choice?
I'm using Manus. Yeah. Any other Manus fans in the room? Just me? Just me, super niche. It was obviously an Asian company created it. Then Meta just bought it, who obviously own Facebook, for a few undisclosed $1 billion. I think it's brilliant. It's an agent by default. I know Claude's all the rage at the moment. ChatGPT and I had a big argument last year, so I ditched ChatGPT in December. Switched to Manus. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, underrated. Yeah. Cool. And Manus. I've heard it pronounced Manus, but sounds. I don't like that.
I've heard you talk about that before.
Yeah, that was something else. Yes.
Sorry, you mentioned about your Constraint and
Yes.
automating some of those. How do you identify what needs to be automated and what tools, what do you use?
So I would think of the most simple stuff, or the stuff that's the most frustrating, or the most repeated. The stuff that's getting done the most is potentially the most automatable. So if it's something that you're doing for every client or every day or even every week, that's probably potentially the easiest to automate, depending what it is. Or if you have that process mapped out, give that to AI and say, hey, what could we automate here? And the AI will be able to help you specifically as well. But if you've got that diagram mapped out, you've then got something to give the AI. Or do you have a team? Have you got anyone you could discuss that with? Yeah, cool. So chat to your favourite AI friend.
Claude.
Yeah, Claude, there you go. And that'll give you some great advice as well. But I would think what is repeatable or fairly administrative based, if it's an admin kind of task, there's probably something that can do it for you now. Yeah, or do a big chunk of it. Does that answer the question? Yeah, cool. Anyone else before we finish? Yeah, cool. All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you all for listening. Good to see you all.